when I got the results for all that stuff, I went back to the doctor and she said, you're going to have to see a rheumatologist. Again, like her level of expertise and authority to prescribe things and all of that was not high enough for her to treat me for the issue. So she said, you need to see a rheumatologist. And she set me up with the front desk, and they started looking for rheumatologists in the area. And basically, I said, no, they had a suggestion. So they suggested one to me. And as any of you who see specialists may or may not know, to see a specialist, it's usually a wait. Like you're not gonna make an appointment with a specialist and see them the next week unless you're already an existing patient. So they told me that it was gonna be that it was gonna be 3 months to see a rheumatologist. And at this time, like I was, I think, close to the most depressed I've ever been in my life. I actually left the doctor that day, and mind you, I was eating and exercising and losing so much weight, and I left the doctor that day and I went to, this is like, I'm really being honest here, okay? So I went to Wendy's and I got like a cheeseburger or something, I don't know. And that was like the end of my little weight loss journey because whatever I lost being motivated by, like this situation that I was dealing with, possibly getting better by losing weight, I gained it all back in the depression of something's wrong with me and I don't know what it is and I have to wait to find out what it is. So 3 months go by and I'm gonna try not to like get emotional. 3 months go by. I go to the rheumatologist appointment, and I check in, and they tell me that they don't take my insurance because it's still the Medicare, I believe, at this time, and they say that we don't take the insurance. And I'm like, I've been waiting 3 months for this appointment. I called you, and or the people called you, and they should have known what insurance I had. How can you not take it? But they couldn't take it, so I couldn't go to my appointment. And like, if you thought I was depressed already, it's like I waited 3 months for this appointment, and now the people are telling me we can't take you. So in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna be waiting another 3 months at minimum to find out what's wrong with me and start getting help. So I drove to the doctor, the primary care physician, and I was literally crying at the and I'm trying not to cry now. I was literally crying at the front desk and I was saying like I waited 3 months for this appointment. I don't know what to do. Help me. Like I feel so bad and I don't know what to do. So the lady at the front desk, God bless her soul, she got like the list of rheumatologists in New Jersey, and she called like literally every single one. And everyone. I said traveling, I'll drive there, it's whatever I need to go. And I think she found one who could take me in 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks. It might have been a little more or a little less, but she said, "Oh, it's 3 weeks. It's in wherever it was like 45 minutes away from my house." I said, "No, I'll go. I'll go." So she made the appointment, and I had to wait another 2 or 3 weeks. And I I went, and the guy knew right away. Like he had, the blood work and the X-ray information from the other doctor, and he looked at, like some of the skin, like the skin stuff that I had, and he asked, just looked me over, and he asked what I was feeling, and he said, listen, you probably have at rheumatoid or psoriatic arthritis. Like looking at your skin and some of the stuff that's going on, I would lean towards psoriatic. We're gonna do some more blood work to make sure that you do have like an autoimmune disorder, but there's no point in, like I said, narrowing it down from rheumatoid to psoriatic. And so I went and got the more tests done, and just to pause for a minute, I started feeling this stuff in 2015. This is the end of 2017 now, like November, December 2017, when I'm finally going to the rheumatologist. So I was walking around like this for 2 years, just trying my best. And the primary doctor, I think she had prescribed me something called meloxicam, which is, I have my notes here, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. So basically, it's, I believe, like a stronger ibuprofen or something like that. And obviously, it wasn't helping. So the rheumatologist, he said, I got all the tests done. When the test came back, there's like a test. I think it's called like a rheumatoid factor or something. I don't know. All the inflammation that I had in my body was like off the charts. He was like, yes, absolutely, you have psoriatic or rheumatoid arthritis. And so basically, where do we go from here? So he said like there's a lot of ways to treat it, but the problem is that insurance companies, they're going to want you to treat it at the lowest possible level and work up. And like I had it, like he's telling me like you have it very bad, but what I think is gonna help you, I cannot do that yet because we have to try the lower level stuff and work up to the higher level stuff because the insurance is not going to approve the higher level stuff until we try the lower level stuff first. So maybe he's the one who prescribed me meloxicam or she was, I don't know. And then they put me on prednisone. Prednisone is a miracle drug. It's a steroid. You cannot take it for a long time because it'll kind of mess your body up, I guess, if you stay on it long term. But in the short term, I felt so good from taking it that that's when I started, like at this time I started working at the job in the warehouse, and my body was far from perfect, but it was good enough where I said, okay, I could grin and bear like a real job. And so the prednisone did not was not a permanent solution. The meloxicam was not doing it. So basically, the next step is we started something called methotrexate. Methotrexate is so it's an immunosuppressant. So like basically, it tells your, again, when I'm explaining these drugs and stuff, understand that I'm not a doctor. So I'm going based off of what he told me, what I see off of Google, and then I'm trying to also dumb it down to explain it. So I could be way off. But methotrexate is like an autoimmune suppressant. So basically, it tells your autoimmune uh, system to calm down because, and this is something I kind of skipped over, but let me go back to it. When I tell people I have arthritis, a lot of people they view arthritis as like, oh, so your knee hurts or your shoulder hurts, because there's a lot of different types of arthritis. And the arthritis that I think most people may have is osteoarthritis, which is like a degenerative joint disease. So if you watch sports, you've probably heard osteoarthritis. Brandon Roy comes to mind. He was a player for the Portland Trailblazers in the NBA who had to retire because his knee couldn't hold up. So when you say arthritis, a lot of people think like you have some pain or some degeneration in like one of your joints. But rheumatoid and psoriatic arthritis are autoimmune disorders. Osteoarthritis is not an autoimmune disorder. So what an autoimmune disorder is basically, and again, I'm giving you my take on it, is like your autoimmune system starts attacking your own body, like it's overactive. So in psoriatic and rheumatoid arthritis, it's kind of like your autoimmune system starts to attack your body's own joints because it sees that there's an issue there when it's not. So one thing that I have a hard time like getting across to people is that it's not something that's isolated to like one part of my body. It's something that is like literally attacking my whole body at the same time. So, going back to the methotrexate, it it suppresses your immune system. So I guess because your immune system's overactive and doing too much and attacking things that are friendly, the methotrexate tells it to calm down, and that's supposed to help. And it did help a little, but it wasn't perfect. But that was the next step in the progress that you had to take for the insurance companies. So, what ended up really helping and what I'm on to this day is something called Humira, which is a biologic. And I'm going to consult my notes. Whenever you see these eyes go from here to here, I'm looking at my notes. And a biologic is it kind of like affects the way your immune system works. And I guess they call it a biologic because it comes from a living source. So it comes from either like a human or an animal. I'm not going to get any deeper in it to that than that. But, I'm pretty sure like some of the drugs they made for COVID kind of fall in line with like being a biologic. I'm not 100% sure. I may be wrong when I'm saying this, but it's kind of like altering the the way, I don't want to say like altering your DNA. That's not what it is, but it's altering the way that your body, the systems in your body function. So Humira's a TNF inhibitor, which you could look up if you care. But basically, the way that I understand it is that there's a system in your body that produces inflammation. And when you get hurt, your body is supposed to produce inflammation. It's supposed to swell, and that's because it helps in the healing process, I guess. But when you have like an autoimmune disorder, your body's producing inflammation when it's not supposed to, so it's causing swelling and issues in your joints um, when there's nothing wrong there. So Humira just basically tells the system that produces the inflammation in your body to calm down and stop producing so much inflammation. Since I've been on these two things, methotrexate and Humira, and they're supposed to work together, like methotrexate with Humira, one, I guess it's more effective because of the interaction between the two, but I also think methotrexate helps the Humira last longer and work for a longer time because it's kind of slowing your immune system down, which Humira being something foreign in itself, your body may want to fight against that and become resilient to it. So the methotrexate is kind of working to stop your body from having an issue with the Humira being in it. But it works so well that in June 2018, I decided to be a letter carrier with the post office. That did not, I'm not going to get into my career and where I'm at now, but that didn't last. Being a letter carrier didn't last too long. I did it for like 3 or 4 years. But even with the medication that I was on and all those types of things, my feet weren't really, holding up because there was, like damage done to my joints that when you don't take care of this, when you let it go, like it causes more and more damage to your joints and it becomes permanent. So luckily I did eventually go to the doctor and get help for this, but there was like damage that was done like to my feet and stuff like that that is permanent. So being a letter carrier, you walk 12 to 20 miles a day, and my feet couldn't really handle that. But it was fun while I did it, and the first year or so was really good because I was still on the prednisone with this other stuff for part of that time, and my body felt great. It still feels very good now, but there's definitely like a pre and post arthritis uh, norm for me, like baseline for what I feel. The point for me, like the message I would send to people is when you start to and even though I had this history of like not liking to go to the doctor and this and that, I'm totally different now because when you start seeing that something's wrong with you or something is not normal, and I'm not talking about for like a couple of days or a week, I'm talking about when something is consistently wrong with your body for a long period of time, you need to go get it checked out as soon as possible, whether it be something like this or whether it be another type of issue that you're dealing with, because these things do uh, cause permanent issues. And even though you may be scared or anxious about finding out what's wrong with you, getting that help and figuring it out is going to be better for you in the long run. Even if it's something that you have to deal with, it's going to be better for you in the long run to get it taken care of as soon as possible. Now, right now, I don't really think about the fact that I have arthritis too much. Like, yes, my body in different ways reminds me every day, and my baseline is not my normal baseline, but there's a actually one of the gaming channels that I watch, Phoenix Resale. I cannot remember off the top of my head what the theory or idea is called, but there's basically an idea that the human body or person will adjust to new, like, will find an equilibrium for what a baseline of happiness is. So, like, I've been dealing with it for so long that even though I felt a lot better as a 20-year-old than I do now, not just because I'm older, but because I'm dealing with the disease, um, I guess my body has, or my brain and my body have kind of created a new baseline level of happiness where uh, I feel like mostly normal 99.9% of the time. When I found out what was wrong with me, and that I had to basically, and I'm not going to get into, because there's some people that say you could treat these types of things naturally and you could do X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to get into all that. Like, that's a discussion that I'm not writing off, but it's not the discussion about this video. But when I realized like I was gonna have like, a disease, like, I don't remember the exact definition, but disease basically means treatable but uncurable. So, this is something that, by that definition, I have to deal with for the rest of my life. And by the rheumatologist's, opinion, I have to be on some type of, drugs to help my body for the rest of my life. So that was very depressing when I first found that out. And for about 2 or 3, maybe even more years, it wouldn't always be on the top of my mind, but it would be in the back of my mind and sometimes come to the front of it that, like, there's something wrong with me and I have to be like, it was just a depressing thought that this wasn't something that was going to go away, and that I was going to be reliant on, like, medical help to take care of it for the rest of my life. But at this point, this is like the most comfortable I felt like talking about it or putting it out there, and I feel very comfortable, dealing with it. It's something that I have to deal with. There are times where uh, it's a little more, they call it like flare ups. There's times where it's a little more difficult to deal with than not. And there's times where the side effects of the medicine, especially methotrexate, are hard to deal with because there's like fatigue, nausea, all these different things involved. But at the end of the day, I'm very thankful that I finally went and figured it out, because if I let it go longer, I might have became, like, permanently disabled. There's like a joke that I like to tell, that when I was delivering mail, I was in the back of my truck, like on my knees, sorting all my mail and packages, and somebody came and like made a joke, like, why are you on your knees, blah 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 blah. And I was like, I'm just glad that I can be on my knees, because there was, like, I remember there was a time at the auto parts warehouse where we had stuff on the, like, on the floor. Like, in a warehouse you have stuff on shelves, but then there's stuff on the base floor level, and there would be like things in the back on the floor that you had to like bend down and like crawl and get, because like they were so far back that there wasn't, like, it was like oil, there wasn't canisters or bottles in the front. And I remember having to ask somebody if they could like pick my order for me, because I couldn't go back there and get it, and it was like very embarrassing. And to, be at a level now where I'm not how I used to feel, but I'm able to do, most things and function, it feels, a lot better. So, guys, I know this turned into a longer video than I was probably expecting it to be, and I'm not sure how many people are gonna watch the whole thing or care or whatever, but I just wanted to put the whole story out there from start to finish and kind of be open about what it is that I was going through back then and what it is that I'm dealing with now, which is, in my opinion, much less. But I don't know. It's just something that I wanted to share for people who don't know me. For people who do know me who may watch this, it may explain or give insight to why I am or how I was. If, because there was there was a lot of stuff between the physical pain and like the emotional like depression of it that I was going through that I really didn't tell anybody about. So if you made it all the way to the end, please like, comment, subscribe. If you deal with anything or are, deal with something that you know what you're dealing with or deal with something that you may not know yet, like leave a comment and, tell us or me what it is or whatever. Like it's great to have support as well in dealing with this with this stuff. So that's why again it was very hard to not tell people, but also it was very embarrassing at the time for me to try and explain it and let people know. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.